Hi, I'm Andy Hall. I'm the General Manager of Hall Fire and Safety Consultants out of the UK. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking to John Ottesen. He's the founder and General Manager of DAFO FOMTEC. DAFO FOMTEC are a privately owned firefighting foam manufacturer based out of Helsingborg in Sweden. They've been in business for 21 years now and have been selling a range of high-performance foams to 65 countries around the world. So very successful in making high-quality products. Today, we're going to be talking about the transition to fluorine-free foams, sometimes called SFFs. So, John, welcome. Interschutz, 7 years ago, so 2015, when we were at this show, all of the discussion was about the transition from C8 fluorinated chemistry to C6 fluorinated chemistry. Now, 7 years is a pretty short time in our industry. So what's been happening?
Well, I think it's fair to say it's been a very strong shift to focus on synthetic fluorine-free foams, and that's been driven by the legislators and regulations that now is restricting the use of PFAS in firefighting foam, and we've seen a very strong shift towards the synthetic fluorine-free foam, and we have spent our time looking very deeply into that over the past 7 years.
So again, just reiterate for me, why is this transition occurring?
Well, I mean, it's occurring not because of normal industry development. It's happening because the legislators and the regulators wants to restrict the use of PFAS, and that's what initiates this change towards fluorine-free foam, as it's called. Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. So, as you said, it's legislation, and we've got timelines in place in Europe?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's two different kind of timelines going on at the moment. You have the phase out of the old C8 materials, and then you have what's coming up now next year, or we believe there's going to be new regulations coming on PFAS in general in firefighting foam, which is then going to be setting some timelines for the phasing out of PFAS additives to foam.
Okay.
Basically.
So, but you're still making fluorinated foam. So, what's FOMTEC's position today?
Well, I mean, our position, we're a manufacturer of firefighting foam. Our mission is to make the very best foam we can. We produce both fluorinated and unfluorinated foam, and we will carry on doing so for as long as we're allowed to do it, and for as long as our customer wants it and needs it. So, we have no position on that other than we want to enable our customers to comply with regulations and legislations, which means that we obviously had a very strong focus on the development of the next gen products, the synthetic fluorine-free foams over the past several years.
Okay, that leads into my next question, which is I've been reading a lot of your magazine articles over the last 6 to 9 months, and I read about something called the Enviro program.
Yes.
What is the Enviro program, John?
Well, I mean, when we started the development of fluorine-free foam, which the market is asking us to do, I thought making a foam without fluorine is almost like trying to go to the moon. So I had this thought, it's almost like the Apollo program, it's the Enviro program, and I wanted everybody at FOMTEC to buy into the gravity of what we are trying to achieve. This is a humongous big step to make products perform in various kinds of systems without the additive of fluorine.
So, tell me more about what went on within, when we in the Enviro program. Give me the mechanics of the program.
I mean, the program is obviously a development program on the chemistry side. We need to find formulations that are going to work. So there's a lot of laboratory work, formulation work, but obviously you need to bring this to the test. So we perform a huge amount of fire testing. You have to put it on the fire, and we do these fire tests. And we associate the foam qualities, as we call it, with the foam qualities of equipment, which is out there in systems. So there's a lot of fire testing going on, Andy.
Okay, and we're talking things like the small scale EN tests, or bigger scale,
Well, it depends upon your perspective. I mean, we're not doing baby tests. We're doing proper UL and FM tests, like 4.5 square meter fire, norm fire. So there's some size to this.
Typically, that's nearly 200 liters of fuel, approximately, depending on the fuel.
Yes.
So serious fires.
Serious fires, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Well, I know that that's a lot of investment. So what would you say you've got out of the Enviro program so far? Are there any specific lessons, or what would you say are the takeaways you'd want to put in this presentation?
Well, I think the first takeaway is that the foams actually work. I mean, there's been a huge evolvement since we started back more than 10 years ago with the first versions of these products. As the Enviro program has evolved, there's been a constant evolvement of performance. So today we have really high performance synthetic fluorine-free foams in our Enviro program.
Okay. You touched on a little bit there of foam qualities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, within Europe, we have a standard EN 1568, which is supposed to be a comparison of the performance of foam concentrates, and that has a rating system. So surely, if you've got a 1A, you're making the best foam.
Well, that's really a lot of people believe that, but we have seen that the EN 1568 is a good test for doing sort of quality comparisons. It's a norm test, and you always use the same nozzle. It's the Uni 86 nozzle. It gives you a very good foam quality every single time. The problem with the EN 1568, it doesn't take into account the actual qualities of the foam that is being generated by an actual real-world system. And that's the problem with the EN 1568. You can have a 1A rating, and then you discharge through a specific discharge device, and it doesn't work at all. And that's really the dynamics of these new fluorine-free foams. They're not as versatile. They don't have that built-in magic from the fluorine. So they need to be put on with the right kind of quality.
So I can see now why we're moving towards 1,500 plus tests, because we're having to look at all these specific discharge devices. So what discharge devices have you got test data on?
Well, I mean, we have focused a lot on sprinklers. So we've done testing with normal standard sprinklers. And then obviously with some topside devices such as foam makers and chambers. And that's a little bit difference between the testing, because when you do a sprinkler test, you actually use the sprinkler. You install 4 sprinklers and you discharge these 4 sprinklers onto the fire and you see if you can put it out. With the large scale equipment, you have to do a different way. You need to collect the foam qualities from the large scale equipment, and then you need to mimic that with your test nozzle so that you can perform the actual fire test with foam qualities that is similar to the large scale equipment. So it's a little bit different test, but we still use the same quality as in the real world system.
Okay, so a lot of hardware involved. Did FOMTEC partner with anyone, or did you just go and select hardware and no, I hate to say, do random testing?
Well, we do both, but I mean, in general, I would say we partnered up with our partner Viking Corp, and we've used their sprinklers. They have a large array of sprinklers, obviously being one of the leading sprinkler companies of the world. And we've also used their topside devices, such as foam makers and chambers and even monitors. And another side of this is in the Enviro program is the testing of the foam with the proportioning devices as well, because that's a part of a system, isn't it?
So I suppose the next thing I want to come to, because obviously we've talked about SFFs, in their infancy at the moment, and a number of manufacturers are sort of coming out with, let's say 1 or 2 products, and saying, this is our fluorine-free product. What does the Enviro program given FOMTEC?
Well, I mean, obviously we have an array of products. We have different products for different missions. So we have, I think, a dozen or more products at the moment for each and every mission there is out there, like the emergency response or ARF, sprinkler systems, and so forth and so on. Marine is another topic. So we have quite a large program at the moment.
John, just to clarify there, you talked about an array of sprinklers. Are we talking about standard non-aspirating sprinklers here?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we want to enable our customers to use standard sprinklers, normal everyday sprinklers. They are difficult because there's no expansion, drainage time is short, very challenging testing with the standard sprinklers, but that is what people have. We don't want to have to say to customers, you have to go to these aspirated, more expensive, higher flow air aspirated sprinklers. They are not the same.
See, that's interesting, John, because obviously that's a terminology thing you see even within UL, where they talk about a foam sprinkler. And that's not the same as a standard sprinkler, is it?
No, definitely not. And we want to enable people to use what they have today, which is the standard sprinklers.
Right. Well, so would you like to talk in this presentation? Do you have any stars? 17 products or so. You really, you've got some stars out there that you're waving their flags at the moment.
Well, I probably got to mention at least two. We have our Enviro USP, which is our AFFF equivalent. And then we have our Enviro ARC, which is our 3x3 equivalent. Those are really very, very high-end products. UL and FM approved. USP has an array of other approvals as well for many different missions. So those are probably the two stars in today's program.
Okay. And you just to reiterate again, you said the Enviro ARC is FM approved with standard sprinklers for polar solvents.
Absolutely correct. And I'm really proud about the ARC because we brought the world first to the market. It was the first ever fluorine-free foam to pass an FM test on a polar solvent through a standard sprinkler. And I think it still is the only one out there with an approval. So we're very proud of ARC, I must say.
Quite rightly so. That's not easy.
Difficult test.
So again, we've got a few minutes left in this presentation. Are there any other, maybe not the, maybe they're the co-stars that you want to mention?
Well, I think you've mentioned some specifics. We have Enviro Air, which is our ARF product. It's a low viscous ARF foam with an ICAO approval. There are other products. We have a load of products, Andy. I would love to talk about them all, but I guess the Air is the most prominent one of those additional products.
Okay, so an array of Enviro by FOMTEC products, international listings and approvals. Obviously we're still on this journey with SFFs, but here's the question, I suppose. In the real world today, are you confident that an end user or a consultant can design, install, and deploy alternatives to AFFF and alcohol-resistant fluorinated foams?
Yes, I think our approval speaks for themselves. We have UL and obviously our FM approval. They are system approvals, which enables customers to deploy the foam as a holistic approach through a system design. So you have the foam concentrate coupled with the proportioning and the discharge device. So definitely you can deploy these products, and the customers are already doing that, in a big way.
Yeah. So you've got projects out there already?
Definitely. A lot of big high-end customers who has taken the step to change the PFAS product out has chosen our FOMTEC products.
Wow. Well, we won't ask for names today, but as we wrap this up, what I'd like to do is, again, I'll come back to, again, something I've read in a number of your articles. Quite a statement that decisions should be based on data, not opinions. Just elaborate and explain to me why I keep seeing this in your articles.
Well, I think this is really key. It's always been the case. You need to base your design on data and not opinions or correlations or assumptions. But I think it's even more important now with the fluorine-free foams to stick to data. And we don't like opinion. That's why we do all the testing, Andy. I mean, we've done 1,500 tests and we're carrying on doing testing. We like to be able to base our recommendations to clients on data and not assumptions or opinions that is not rooted in actual testing.
I suppose that comes back to the fluorine-free foams just don't work. Would you say
Well-
that was an opinion?
Well, it probably was at the time, and I think we've proven it wrong through our testing.
Well, it sounds like the investment is paying off, John. And I'm excited. I'm going to come and have a look through these products. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.